Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning. Hi everyone, my name is Nur Hazwani binti Abdul Razak and my metric number is 2019253346. Today, we would like to present about the food consumptions, which is gluten in food and cheese making. First thing first, before we begin and explain the detail, first thing first, you must know what is food consumptions. Food consumption, it is a periodic behavior. It is triggered at various moments of the day by several converging factors: time of day, needed state, sensory stimulation, social context. The world population is expected to grow by more than 30% over the next 30 years. Most of this growth will be in developing nations and primarily in urban areas. By 2050, urban areas will account for 70% of the world population. This growing population combined with growing per capita consumptions. Globally, all around the world, people take food to ensure their daily life is consumed with good, healthy, and clean food so that the people will gain energy from their food intake. Food contains nutrition as well as vital nutrients for bodily function. In addition, food can be classified from various categories such as vegetables, fruit, grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, meat and poultry, fish and seafood, dairy foods, and eggs. According to Leafy, vegetables are among the most essential items that we must eat daily. The food in the vegetables division is classified into a series of subcategories based on which portion of the plant is eaten. They are root vegetables, bulb vegetables, seed vegetables, leafy vegetables, and powdered vegetables. Besides, fruit are not only tasty, but they are also nutritious. Next is food consumption score, which is FCS. What is FCS? It is a cumulative score that considers dietary variability, food frequency, and the relative nutritional value for various food classes. The FSC is measured based on a household's level of intake of various food groups. Most of the people consume food for their energy, and they consume it by knowing the whole ingredient for certain foods. Muslim people also must know about their consumption, either it is clean, pure, and safe for them. This is because Muslim people are free to eat any food that is not haram, which is forbidden in Arabic according to Islamic rules. Most countries gather data on household use or expense through surveys such as household budget, income tax, and living standard surveys. Food consumption data may be used to measure food protection or vulnerability, as well as diet diversity, as well as to evaluate market prospects, and as an input for the design or monitoring or food fortification systems. Various communities and data consumers have diverse and unique needs. The relevance and reliability of food consumption data is determined by how the data is used. Next is the categories of foods. Like what I have told before, most of the people consume food for their energy, right? So Muslim people also must know about their food consumption, either it is clean, pure, and safe for them. This is because Muslim people are free to eat any food that is not haram. Haram foods includes all forms of pork, including bacon, ham, other pork byproducts. Both kinds of alcohol, non-halal animal shortening, animal fat, and blood byproducts should also be avoided. When cooking, they need to pay attention to common recipe ingredients. For the examples, they must know about the gluten, which can be used in variety of foods and candies that is made from pork. Lard or pork fat is also used in some recipes. They also must check labeling to be safe. Many of kosher ingredients are pork-free and can be consumed. In addition, there is also some required essential to qualify meat as halal before consuming the meat. The animals should have been treated in a safe and nourishing manner free of dangerous antibiotics, toxins, hormones, or some other unnaturally fattening foods. The animal that can be consumed for halal people must handle it with kindness and provided with safe and suitable living arrangements. Animals who have been abused, malnourished, or otherwise mistreated cannot be slaughtered for halal meat. By avoiding foods that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbids, it can help to keep Muslim people healthy. For example, science and physicians have long linked alcohol intake to physical harms, not to mention the altered state of mind that can occur when one becomes inebriated. Pork's digestive processes are not quite as complex as that of halal animals like pigs, which means that many of the harmful bacteria. Next is findings. According to Medical Journal of Malaysia, food consumption patterns, which is finding from the Malaysia Adult Nutrition Survey 2014, food consumption data provide estimation on the quantity of each prepared food consumed by individuals. It varies considerably from country to country and even within a country due to factors such as differences in ethnicity, geographical area, age, and sex. Cooked rice was the top food consumed daily by adults in Malaysia, which is 89.8% with an average of 2.5 plates per day. Other top 5 food items consumed daily were sugar, which is 55.9%, followed by leafy green vegetables, which is 43.2%, marine fish, which is 29.4%, and chilies, which is 24.2%. Adults from rural areas consume significantly more cooked rice daily, while those from urban areas consume significantly more sugar and marine fish daily.
In this slide, we just stated the 4 objectives of our assignment. Firstly, we want to describe about the definition of gelatin in food and cheese making. Secondly, we want to finding about the ruling according to the issues. Thirdly, we want to explain about the previous and contemporary opinion and their argument about the issues. And lastly, we want to identify about the best opinion and ways to apply in Malaysia. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurfuzah binti Muhammad Effendi. My number metric is 2019612676. Today, I would like to present about the issue of gelatin in food. Firstly, what is gelatin in food? In generally, gelatin is an animal protein with gel-forming properties that is mainly used in food products. It made from collagen, which is a protein found in animal skin and bone. This means that gelatin can be made from either animal skin or bone. A wide range of food have been developed as a result of advancement in food technology, some of which are made from gelatin-based materials. When the halal status of gelatin is in doubt, a problem occurs. Gelatin may be derived from pig skin or cattle hides in food industry, but the halal status of both is unclear. This has caused outrage among Muslims, and a thorough investigation is needed. Secondly, according to Bailey and Powell, 1998, gelatin is a considerably pure protein food product made by thermal denaturing collagen, which is the most common protein and structural mainstay in the animal kingdom. Alright, next, the key commercial sources of gelatin are cattle bones, hides, pig skin, fish, and more recently, insects. Many food use gelatin as a texture and binding agent. For example, ice cream made with 0.5 insect gelatin can be compared to ice cream made with 0.5% industrial gelatin as a stabilizing agent. According to Abdul Fadil 2012, the panelists considered the properties of the obtained ice cream made with insect gelatin to be acceptable, and there were no significant differences in their general preference between ice cream made with insect gelatin and ice cream made with commercial gelatin. Besides this, gelatin is used as a value-added ingredient in food due of its unique nutrition. The problem arises because the main sources of gelatin used in the food industry are from pig and cattle. These animal sources are used because they provide the best quality gelatin compared to other sources such as fish, poultry, and sea. Furthermore, the abandon of pig and cattle sources reduce the problem of raw material scarcity. As a result, Islamic law must specifically identify the ambiguity in determining halal and haram gelatin origins.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm Muhammad Iqbal bin Fauzi. So now we will discuss about the ruling of both issue. Okay, so now we will look to the ruling of gelatin usage in food industry. Allah once said in Surah An-Nahl, verse 66 until 69. The meaning is, and there is a lesson for you in livestock. We give you a drink from their bellies, from between waste and blood. Pure milk, pleasant to the drinkers. And from the fruit of dates, palms, and grapevines, you derive sugar and wholesome food. Surely, in this is a sign for people who understand. And your Lord inspired the bee, set up the hive in the mountain and in the trees, and eat what they construct. Then eat from all the fruits and go along the pathway of your Lord. With precision from their bellies emerged a fluid of varying color, containing healing for people. Surely, in this is a sign for people who reflect. Related to the gelatin ingredient, it is made by type of protein produced from collagen tissue. And this collagen tissue is obtained from bones, ligament, skin, or animal such as cattle, buffalo, fish, or pig. Yes, a pig. And this animal pig make us as Muslim worried. the fact that most of the gelatin is produced from non-Muslim country. This is add more worries to us as a Muslim. In addition, most of the gelatin produced by prohibited source, right? Why this happen? Because gelatin from pig is more cheaper than gelatin made from the other animal such as buffalo and so on. Okay, related to the dalil above, they say that Allah have give us a lot of things to eat, such as grape, milk, and whatsoever. That lot of food can be obtained from animal. Allah already said that we can eat a thing from animal, such as their milk and whatsoever that non prohibited to us. Okay, next. Actually, gelatin, we have another alternative to make it. For example, gelatin can be made from a plant gum such as carrageenan and Arabic gum. It is commonly used in the pharmaceutical industry for the production of soft capsule and gels. Okay, this question will come to our mind. Why they don't make gelatin from this alternative, from the plant alternative, right? The reason is gelatin that made from the plant most costly to make it. So as a company, as a businessman, we will look for the modest or for the cheaper cost to make our product, right? So this alternative will give to the company to choose whether they want to use the plant ingredient or the animal as ingredient to the gelatin. Narrated by Tirmizi, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam once says, the meaning, indeed, what is lawful is clear, and what is unlawful is clear. Between the two, there are things that are shubha, which is value, that are not known by many people. So whoever is afraid of suspicion means he has saved his religion and his honor. And whoever falls into the matter of suspicion, which is shubha, then he will fall into the matter of forbidden. And this is the thing that we want to avoid, from eating a forbidden or prohibited things in our side. So we have two scholar views here. First, from Shafi'i scholars, gelatin is strictly prohibited if it's come from animals that are not allowed to be eaten, right? Okay, such as pig, unslaughtered cattle or beef, that don't mention Allah's name. Hanafi scholars adhere to the general methodological principle that anything impure that is converted into a new material at molecular level become pure, which is, this is the method of istihala. So from both of the view, we can say that Shafi'i is strictly prohibit the gelatin usage if it's come from the prohibited ingredient, and Hanafi scholars say that if the gelatin usage made from prohibited animal, it is we can eat because they have been converted into a new material from the molecular level. So this is the process that we been said, which is istihala. Alright, so now you understand about the ruling of gelatin usage in food industry, right? Okay, so now we will go to the next slide.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Nurul Afika binti Syahyuni, metric number 2019230062, and I would like to continue the presentation about the previous scholars' opinion of gelatin in food. Most of Muslim jurists agree that gelatin derived from slaughtered and permitted animals is halal. However, there is argument on gelatin that is derived from pig and carrion. The halal and haram sources of this matter have been debated among Muslim jurists. From haram perspective, from Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 3, it is evident that Muslims are forbidden to consume foods classified as dead animals or carrion that signifies the animal which has died in a natural way of death, blood, pork, and meat dedicated for other than Allah. In Al-Quran also states that all animals that are allowed to be eaten in Islam must be slaughtered in accordance with Islamic law. As narrated by Abu Hurairah, who was a companion of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, the Apostle of Allah prohibited unclean medicine. It is suggested that gelatin only transforms physically, not chemically. Because of that reason, istihala method in gelatin can be fully applied. Majority of Muslim scholars suggested that the application of istihala only can be applied when the complete transformation physically and chemically occurred during the process, which means this scholar's opinion about gelatin is haram. According to Shafi'i scholars, gelatin is strictly prohibited if it is derived from animals that are not permitted to be eaten, such as pigs, unslaughtered cattle, or beef. Wahba Zuhaili view, also as Shafi'i scholars, forbid the istihala except happen in only 3 situations, which when the wine turns into vinegar naturally, yet the change of the wine is not considered sacred if the purpose is to speed up the process. Second, when the skin of animals other than dogs and pigs, which when tanned, it becomes sacred. Third one, when something changes into a living animal, for example, a carcass that turns into a caterpillar due to the occurrence of new life. From halal perspective, Hanafi scholars adhere to the general methodological theory that something impure becomes pure when it is converted at the molecular level into a new material. Ibn Rushd from Maliki scholars that has almost opinion as Hanafi scholars stated the reason is that the original substance of a thing has been changed to another form of property. For an example, when a wine that turns into vinegar by itself or is moved to speed up the process of its exchange is sacred. And lastly, all gelatin derived from halal sources and slaughtered according to Islamic law is permitted for Muslims. In conclusion, all gelatin derived from halal sources and slaughtered according to Islamic law is permitted for Muslims. Gelatin that comes from fish also is confirmed to be halal and can be eaten. Gelatin extracted from pig and not slaughtered animal are prohibited. This prohibition based on the characteristic of gelatin that remains unchanged chemically. Hence, istihala or transformation process in gelatin is not completely occurred, clearly stated in Al-Quran.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatima Azhara binti Ahmad Zain and my student's ID is 2019230356. Okay, and for now, I will continue my group's presentation by talking about the contemporary opinions with their arguments on gelatin and cheese. Okay, based on the arguments, we can conclude that the views was lead to the two answers where some say it is illegal and some say it is permissible. Okay, this decision was taken based on the views of Islamic scholars on the occurrence of istihalal, when an impurity with that something that is haram fully changed into something that is clean and pure. Okay. Okay, as you can see from the slide, this slide shows about the some scholars who accept the use of gelatin in food after performing istihalal. Okay, first one we go to the Imam Muhammad Al-Hassan, as presented in Az-Zuhaili 2010, argues that something is najis. If it changes its nature, then it does not become najis. The second one is former Mufti of Perlis, Associate Prof. Datuk Dr. Muhammad Asir Zainal Abidin, which he said that gelatin or DNA that obtained from pig can be considered halal if it has undergone a transformation process according to the Islamic concept of terminology, which we know that it as is halal. Okay, next, the third one is the 73rd Muzakarah Conference of the Fatwa Committee National Council of Islamic Religious Affairs of Malaysia that was held on 4th till 6th April 2006 has discussed they said that they accept the using of gelatin in food after istihalal based on the ruling on wine vinegar. Okay, the committee has decided that wine that turns into vinegar by adding extra substance is unlawful. However, if wine that turns into vinegar naturally is halal. And the last one is gelatin that derived from pork is lawful. This opinion is the result of a seminar on the Fiqh and Medical Forum in Kuwait on 25th May 1995 and supported by Dr. Nazir Ahmad, not Dr. Nazir Ahmad, I'm sorry, Dr. Muhammad Al-Harawi and 38 Basim Al-Karafadi. Okay, they argue that gelatin yields a new substance that bears no resemblance to pig collagen from a physical and chemical point of view. This is further argued by the opinion that pig gelatin is indistinguishable from other gelatins and it is different from pig collagen. Okay, next we move to the next slide, which this slide shows about the scholars who had rejected the using of gelatin in food, even after performing istihalal. Okay, so as you can see from the slide, it has two opinions. The first one from the Mufti, and the second one is from Ibn Hazm. Okay, the Mufti one is he followed the halal standard set by the Halal Hub Division Department of Islamic Development Malaysia, which is JAKIM. They said that they does not accept gelatin from non-halal sources. Okay, the second one is Ibn Hazm. Ibn Hazm agreed that both male and female, or small and large, the law is still haram. This includes the meat, nerve, brain, cartilage, intestines, skins, and other part of the body. This is because in the Quran, it is clearly mentioned that pig are animals that are prohibited in Islam. Okay, some people may want to know about why pig is haram in Islam. Okay, the most and foremost, okay, the one of the reason that the that make pig is haram in Islam is because to protect Muslim from harm. Okay, as you can see, I put additional information here. So it is some information that I got from the research that I did. Okay, the first one is Dr. Frank Hu, one of the senior scientists involved in the study and a professor of nutrition at the Harvard School of Public Health. He argues that processed meat contribute largely to premature death. Okay, and the second one is an article of NHS said that women had a 20% increase 20% risk of colon cancer only with one serving of red meat daily for 40 years. Okay, the last one is pork is a cause of swine flu in humans, or we can call it as H1N1. Okay, basically why it give harm for people for people lah. So studies have found that pork contains microorganisms like helminthes and roundworm or pinworm and hookworm among the others, which one of the most dangerous of the worm is Tania solium, which in a layman terminology is called as tapeworm. Okay, so it's really dangerous. That's why not only Muslim that prohibiting the this meat, but the non-Muslim also prohibited it from their life, from their food and their life. Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Adam bin Roslan, metric number 2019-294236. So for my part, I will be presenting about the best way to apply in Malaysia regarding this both issue about the gelatin and cheese consumption in food production. So easy to say, the best way or the best solution for this both issue is to use halal gelatin and halal cheese in food production. So for my part, I will be talking about the halal gelatin and halal cheese production. So firstly, about the gelatin production. In gelatin production, firstly, hydrolysis process is used to extract gelatin from collagen. To prepare the collagen to be extracted, non-collagen substances, for example, minerals, fats, and proteins, are removed from the cow bones and skin using other method. After that, the cow bones and skin will be going through a long treatment with an alkali, usually lime water, at a room temperature to produce halal gelatin, which usually this process takes from 8 to 12 weeks depending on its prior therapy, the condition of the substances, the size of the materials, and the exact temperature. And the liming process is controlled by the degree of alkalinity of the lime water, and each test extraction will be calculated. Each material then will be carefully cleaned with cold water to clean or to dissolve any excess lime in the material, and then its pH number will be modified with acid, and the soluble gelatin solution will be extracted using hot water. Next, for the gelatin extraction process, usually it takes from 3 to 6 times with different temperature. The first extraction usually begins at 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, and then until the last extraction could reach the boiling temperature, which is 100 degrees Celsius. After that, the extraction will be kept separated, so it will be analyzed and will be blended to meet multiple requests that came from multiple customer specification. After that, the extraction will be go through a drying chamber that have different spaces, and then the different spaces will have different temperature and humidity, which is accurately controlled around 3 degrees Celsius, and then it will subsequently will be increased until 70 degrees Celsius at the end. The drying process usually takes around 1 to 5 hours depending on the extraction quality of the gelatin solution. After that, cross-flow membrane filtration or vacuum evaporation, or both, will be used to filter, to dionize, to concentrate the halal gelatin solution. Then the gelatin solution will go through a chilling process, or will be cut into ribbons, or will be extruded like noodles. And for the last part, to prevent the gelatin from melting or hardening, the drying rate is carefully regulated so that the halal gelatin at the end will leave the dryer with a moisture content around 10%. So after all of this process, we will get a halal gelatin solution. So basically, the difference between the halal gelatin and non-halal gelatin production is that the halal gelatin production main material came from cow bones and skin that are slaughtered using Islamic specification.
Alright, we continue our presentation with the second issue in food consumption, which is cheese making process. What is a cheese making process? As we all know, cheese making is an art that involves the creation of cheese. Cheese making is mentioned in both Egyptian tomb drawings and ancient Greek literature. Cheese making may have been originated from nomadic herdsmen who store milk in vessels produced from sheep and goat stomach. The milk will ferment and coagulate because their stomach lining contains lactic acid, bacteria as milk toxin, and rennet. In generally, cheese is a dairy product. Cheese making allows for the creation of cheeses with a wide range of flavor and texture. Besides, cheese is made from milk, which comes from a variety of animals, including cows, sheep, goat, horse, camels, water buffalo, and reindeer. During the manufacturing process, the milk is usually acidified, and rennet enzyme or bacterial enzyme of similar activity are added to allow the milk protein to coagulate. The solid are isolated from the liquid and pressed into the finished product. Aromatic molds can be found on the rind, the outer layer, or in the cheese. Most cheeses melt when heated to cooking temperature. Most cheese makers use rennet, lactic acid, or plant extract to speed up the curdling process, such as vegetable rennet made from wild artichokes, fig leaves, safflower, or melon. The production of cheese, like many other food preservation process, allows the nutritional and economic value of a food material, in this case milk, to be preserved in concentrated form. Cheese making allows the production of the cheese with diverse flavor and consistencies. Issue arise because of the ingredients that go into some types of cheese include rennet. Rennet used in the making of cheese. Rennet is a protease enzyme used to coagulate milk in order to form a thick curd. When used, it becomes a part of chemical process that alter its composition. Rennet is also a complex collection of enzymes formed by ruminant mammals in their stomach. Its main ingredient, chymosin, is a protease enzyme that curdles the casein in milk. Rennet contains other enzymes besides chymosin, such as a pepsin and a lipase. Rennet is used to split milk into solid curds for cheese making and liquid whey, and its replacement is used in the manufacture of most cheeses. Furthermore, once the cheese is made, it is impossible to separate the milk and other ingredients used in its production. In such cases, it is a rule that if a substance is used in a chemical process that completely changes its nature, it becomes safe to consume. This means that there is nothing wrong with eating the cheese as long as the rennet is derived from calf or other animals that are permissible for a Muslim to consume.
We will discuss about the ruling that related to cheese making process. From Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 168, meaning Allah only forbids you to eat carrion and blood and pork. And in Surah Ma'idah, verse 3, Allah said, Allah prohibit for you are carrion and blood and flesh of swine, an animal over which any name other than Allah was pronounced. Also the flesh of strangled animal, or killed violently, or killed by a fall, or gored to death, or mangled by wild animals, unless you purify it. From the both dalil, we can say that this dalil is focused on what we can eat, right? But in this topic, in this issue, I will focus on the prohibited of eat of waste. Okay, for this dalil, I will focus on the prohibited of eat carrion. Why? Because in the making of cheese, there is a rennet. This rennet is from ruminant of animal. Related to the cheese that produced by rennet ingredient, most of the Islamic scholars state that cheese made from rennet are as creamy. Why? Because rennet is from a belly of animal that is a place of destination of food in the animal belly. Okay. So now we clear that from the scholar view, this rennet is excrement. However, most of the Muslim scholars state that the cheese made from rennet ingredients are halal. Why? This is because the cheese making has go through various process that make the ingredient clean, and it is called the method of istihalah. Right? As we discussed earlier, the process is related to the molecular level, so that it is fine for most of the scholar view. Hanafi scholars say that cheese made by rennet ingredient are clean and edible. Maliki scholar say rennet is from an unclean part of the animal. According to the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah verse 3 above, the only thing that Muslim can eat is carrion, animal that slaughtered without the name of Allah blood, and anything that comes from pig. Therefore, cheese that made by pig rennet are absolutely haram. Right? Absolutely. So now we're clear about the ruling of the both issue we discussed today. We will go to the next slide.
Next, the previous scholar's opinion in cheese making. Cheese is made from cow's milk mostly. However, sometimes milk from other mammals such as goats, camels, deer and buffalo is also still used. But some cheeses are made based on enzymes taken from the stomachs of cows or animals that are still lactating, known as rennet, which acts as a substance that forms milk into cheese. Jurists of Fiqh have different opinion about the rennet in cheese because some scholars reject and forbid rennet outright, some others accept it outright. The majority of scholars, which is from Maliki, predominant of the Hanbali scholars and Shafi'i scholars view that it is not permissible if the rennet to be used is impure, as it will make the cheese impure as well. Unlawful animal cannot be eaten or be touched with just not one part but the whole body, and things related to it, such as rennet, are also prohibited. View from Abu Yusuf and Muhammad, who were the two disciples of Abu Hanifa, is that if the rennet is liquid, then it is impure because its vessels is impure. But if it's solid, then it is washed from the outside and eaten. Previous scholars' opinion that stated cheese making is permissible and pure. The view of Abu Hanifa and Ahmad in one of his narration that is given preponderance by Ibn Taymiyyah is that the rennet is pure because when the companions entered Persia, they ate the cheese made there, which was made from rennet taken from kid goats while their animals were dead animals. A narration from Ahmad chosen by Ibn Taymiyyah, the proof is it was said to Umar radiallahu anhu, they make cheese with carcass rennet. Umar radiallahu anhu said, read the Bismillah and eat. This is the strongest narration of the rennet of carcasses according to Imam Ahmad. This opinion is reinforced by other proposition and the conduct of the companions. There are also opinions from Jumhur Sahabat and Tabi'in such as Umar, Salman al-Farisi, Talha, Musa bin Ali and others that said it is permissible and pure. There is no doubt that the view that rennet is pure is a considerable view, but it is better to act according to the view of the majority of scholars in order to be on the safe side. Rennet is used in making of cheese. When used, it becomes part of chemical processes that change its substance. Moreover, once the cheese is made, it is not possible to separate the milk and other ingredients that went into its making. It is a rule in such situation that if a substance is used in chemical process that transform its nature altogether, it becomes permissible to consume. This means that there is nothing wrong in eating the cheese you mentioned as long as the rennet is not derived from pigs, but from cows or other animals which are lawful for a Muslim to eat.
Okay, this slide shows about the the scholars' opinions on using cheese, which it leads to two answers. Which the first one is permissible and the second one is illegal. So an issue was arise um, that related to the legality of cheese, with the containing of rennets and transglutaminase enzyme from blood plasma. Okay, this is because the enzyme rennin, which is used as a milk clotting agent, needs to be studied for its sources first, either according to Islamic law or Shubha. So we move to the permissible opinions. For the first one is Dr. Muhammad Zaini Osman. He said that the product should use some of the blood elements such as enzymes, plasma, white or red blood cell, and so on. And other opinion that has allowed in using cheese in food is come from the 8th Nadawa resolution of Islamic management in medical science that held in Kuwait. They had decided that cheese produced from rennet obtained from the carcasses of animals that are halal eaten is clean and should be used. This is because they state to an important guideline which the exchange of ain and the substance of the forbidden things to a new thing is istihalah sahiha. Okay, so another opinions that allowed using cheese is come from Wahbah Zuhaili, which he said that halal slaughter must be slaughtered according to the conditions that laid down in Islam, because and his reason is it is forbidden to call names other than Allah as Christians call the name of Al-Masih or the Jews call the name of Uzair. That means it Wahbah Zuhaili, according to the Wahbah Zuhaili opinion, he said that cheese is allowed in Islam if the rennet was be slaughtered in Islamic way, which before you start slaughtering the animals, you need to call Allah's name, like how we learned in our learning lah, in our schools like that. Okay. So the second opinion in using cheese is the illegal one. So the result turned to be illegal because they said that it is categorized as a fasid term because the blight element is still present in the final ingredient. Yeah, as we know, Allah has said in the Quran, Surah Baqarah, verse 173, he said that in the Quran, the meaning is he has made the unlawful to you only carrion and blood and the flesh of swine and that over which there has been pronounced the name of anyone other than Allah. But he who is constrained to eat them, and he neither covet them nor exceed the indispensable limit incurs no sin. Allah is all forgiving and all compassionate. Surah Al-Baqarah verse 173. Okay. So the next one is they said because the first opinions, the first reasons, they said that the cheese still in the fasid term because the black element, which is it is haram in Islam, is still there, is still in the final, is still there as a final ingredient. So it's illegal for Muslims to consume cheese. The second opinions come from the Imam Ash-Shafi'i and Hanbali, which they said that the cheese is illegal because of the blood plasma. Okay, this is because from the view of Imam Ash-Shafi'i and Imam Hanbali, they said that istihala can only be done to the three things. Which the first one is the wine that then become vinegar by itself without the intervention the humans. Second one is the skin and fur of the dead animal, a part of dogs and pig after it has been tanned, and something that turns into an animal like a carcass turns into a caterpillar because of the occurrence of a life that new. So based on the category, blood plasma is not included in that category. So contemporary scholars they take this view based on the method of Sa'id al-Zara'i, which is to close the door of evil in the production of food product. This is also a precautionary measure in taking a food where if it is a shubha, then it is more encouraged by Muslims to stay away and leave it. Okay, so I think that's all from me. Thank you and good luck.
Next, for the halal cheese production. In cheese production, the first material is raw milk. So firstly, the milk will went through pasteurization process where the milk will be heated gently with a temperature less than 100 degrees Celsius to kill any bacteria and to preserve the milk prolonged life from being expired. Then the milk will went through an important step in cheese production, which is the addition of enzymes, cultures, and colors to prevent any enzyme that came from any haram substances. In halal cheese production, the enzyme that will be used is enzyme that came from microorganisms, so it will be approved for the general. So if any food use cheese, there will be no question whether the food is halal or not. All of these ingredients will be recorded and documented from the beginning until the end. Then when the cheese is processed and ready to go through the aging process, mold and bacteria will be added, so its surface can be absorbed internally after the cheese has been aged and ready to be ripened. To prevent any mold growth on cheese, preservatives such as sorbates, propionate, and natamycin will be used to prevent will be applied to the part of cheese which is ripened without such cultures. All these technical chemical which shall strictly follows the Islamic regulation and specification, and after that the cheese will be produced. And finally, for the last step, which is the wrapping process, or the sterile halal compliant containers, wrappers or boxes will be used for wrapping. So if wax is used as a preservative, it must be clean and halal. And if this cheese use microorganism, enzyme that came from microorganism, it is best for it to be in the description of the cheese wrapping. So that's all from me, and thank you.
One is conclusions. Based on the content and explanation, it shows that food consumption is calculated all around the world to see how people interact with foods. It is also shown that in halal industry, they also prioritize the ingredients in the food to making sure Muslim people can consume every food that is safe, clean and halal. This is because to ensure they have a healthier lifestyle and ensure the food they eat complies with halal standards. It is also obvious that previous scholars' opinions also explain in these issues and combine with the contemporary opinions about this matter. It is also important to keeping the food chain safe so that it is not harmful for all the consumers to consume on their daily life. Consumers will consume food that is trustable and worth for their health. The importance to pick the right food and consume food, people also need to be aware with all the ingredients and have some knowledge on the secret code of the ingredients. That's all from me. Thank you everyone for your attention.